Shalom, Shalom Israel. I am the brother Yowana from the Great Millstone, Arizona camp, coming back at y'all with Lord's will, another edifying lesson. First and foremost, as always, before I start, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachach Warash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, our teachers. Shalom to you brothers pushing and teaching this truth across the four winds of this earth. Peace, blessings, and many salutations be to you sincere Akyam Akwath, you brothers, along with you few sisters who are giving all diligence in these last days. Right, through the mercy and grace of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through his only beloved begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, coming back with another walk and talk lesson. This is going to be a quick update in prophecy. Okay, because, as we know, there's a lot going on. And I have two articles here specifically that I wanted to touch on. All right, and the first one is going to be in the People's Voice.tv. And matter of fact, before we get these articles, I want to actually open up with the scripture in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and verse 1. Because this is what we, right, when I say we, I'm speaking to you sincere Israelites that dwelling in the house of faith. This is what we are to do. Okay, this is 2nd Ezra 9 and 1. It reads, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself." All right, and how do we ultimately measure the times? Okay, we take the different events and the different signs that are happening in the world and we filter them through biblical prophecy. And when you start to do that, you start to see very clearly that we're living in the last days, man. We're living in the days of the coming of the Son of Man, which is Yahweh Shai, and he's coming back very soon. But we understand before Yahweh Shai's great and marvelous return, okay, there's going to be things that are going to happen. Okay, and Yahweh Shai went into the manifold different signs that would take place, right, which would be indicators of the end of the world and a sign of his coming. All right, rumors of wars, okay, wars and rumors of wars, right, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, earthquakes and famines in diverse places. You see, and all those things are happening right now. Okay, I just read an article where I forget where it is, but there was about 70 earthquakes, man. In a span of a couple of days. So we're living, we're truly living in times, Salakia. Okay, so again, we take the different things that are happening around us in the world, and we filter them through biblical prophecy. That's how he measured the time, right? Yahweh Shai said to watch and pray. Okay, watch for what? Watch for the prophecies, man. Watch for the signs. Okay, and continue to pray as these things take place, right? That you enter not into temptation because the flesh is weak. 2nd Ezra 9 and 1, titled from the top, "He answered me then and said, measure down the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." And the Lord is visiting this place through the earthquakes, through the storms, through the hurricanes, through the tsunamis, okay, through the hail. Okay, Yahweh Shai is clearly visiting the earth which he made, and this is the time. All right, it says, "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." And we're seeing those earthquakes again, and we're also seeing uproars of the people. And I'm going to get that word uproar, okay? And it's a simple Google definition of the word uproar, and it reads a loud and impassioned noise or disturbance. All right, second definition, it says a public expression of protest or outrage. And this is what we're going to go into. Okay, because of Donald Trump's tariffs, it's causing, outrage, it's causing uproars of the people. And this is on the People's Voice.tv, and it says, "China in chaos. Trump's tariff bomb sparks riots, factory collapses, and nationwide worker revolt." Right? It says riots are sweeping across China as President Donald Trump's punishing tariffs batter the nation's export-reliant economy, forcing factories to shutter, leaving millions unpaid, and sparking mass unrest that Western media appears determined to play down. And see, you're not gonna really see headlines like this, okay, in the mainstream media. All right, really, the best news, besides the ministry of the prophets, because the prophets are the watchmen. That's where you're gonna find the current events and things that are happening according to Bible prophecy. But besides the prophets, which is the best form of information and news, because brothers are constantly going into different things is alternative news, which is websites like, such as this one. Okay, because a lot of mainstream media is all paid off, and a lot of it is set up to be a distraction. All right, they ultimately go into things that aren't so important, but they won't go into things like this that are happening. You're not gonna see this in the news, man. All right, but see, that's where we come in, as it says in Isaiah the 62nd chapter. Right, the Lord said He has set a watchman upon Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence. So the true prophets of Yahweh Bashmashai are not going to keep silence on these things, but they're going to blow the trumpet and warn the people. All right, because this happening again is showing us that we're in the very same time when the highest is visiting the earth. We're living in a time of the end. Okay, we're living in the days that the Lord spoke from the beginning, as we just read in 2nd Ezra. Okay, it says, from industrial zones near Shanghai to the remote edges of Inner Mongolia, workers have taken to the streets demanding back pay and furiously denouncing mass layoffs that threaten to plunge the nation into poverty. The unrest comes amid a catastrophic plunge in Chinese export orders, now at their lowest level since the brutal lockdowns of you-know-what era, a collapse sending shockwaves through the nation's factory floors. It says senior Chinese Communist Party officials are reportedly gripping by fear that the escalating protests could mark the beginning of the end for Xi Jinping's iron grip on power. Go down. It says, in central China's Dao country, another protest erupted outside a sporting goods store that had abruptly closed its doors without compensating its employees. In Tongliao, a city in the northeast, construction workers climbed onto rooftops and threatened suicide if wages weren't delivered. Okay, people are, having to suffer, the domino effects of these tariffs, man. Okay, in their lives. You see, so now, like it says in Proverbs 29:2. Let's get that real quick. Right? Proverbs 29:2 in the GNT, the Good News Translation. Show me a righteous ruler, and I will show you a happy people. Show me a wicked ruler, and I will show you a miserable people. And these people are miserable, man. Okay, and this isn't just in China, man. I have an article right here. We'll select. This is on endtimeheadlines.org, and it says hundreds of thousands around the globe protest Trump tariff agenda. So this ain't just in China, man. People here, in the States, are pretty much complaining and groaning and in a state of anguish because these terrorist people are afraid because of the negative effects they can have on their life. Why, the cost of living shooting through the roof, the scarcity of food. There's already certain places, man, where the shelves are bare, right, and where shelves are empty. Okay, so we're starting to see the effects of these tariffs. This says hundreds of thousands of people in the U.S. and around the world rallied Thursday in May Day protests that united many in anger over President Donald Trump's agenda, from massive tariffs that are stoking fears of global economic turmoil to his administration's immigration crackdowns. From Paris to Manila, tens of thousands of workers took to the streets on International Workers' Day, also known as May Day, to demand better wages, job protections, and social justice. The annual event, rooted in the labor movements of the 19th century, took on heightened significance this year amid inflation, rising inequality, and political shifts around the globe. In France, unions led mass demonstrations opposing President Emmanuel Macron's economic policies, particularly the controversial pension reform that raised the retirement age. It says protesters, so they even raised the retirement age, man. Making it, which I believe before was 65, but you might not even live that damn long. So now they're raising it, man, before you can retire and not have to work anymore. You see, we're living under the hand of an ungodly and cruel Lord, okay, which is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. He's the son of the wicked. All right, and the scriptures say the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. So this devil, he don't give a damn how long you work and how old you are. Right? Scriptures say that he would not show favor to the young nor reverence the old. All right, so that's what we're seeing take place, man. It says protesters marched through Paris, Lyon, and Marseille, chanting slogans and carrying banners calling for workers' rights and social solidarity. Some marchers ended in clashes with police, who deployed tear gas to disperse groups of agitators. Germany saw peaceful rallies across major cities, where unions emphasized solidarity with workers worldwide and condemned the rise of far-right politics. Meanwhile, in Italy, labor groups called for increased job security and stronger protections for gig economy workers. Across Asia, workers in South Korea, Indonesia, and the Philippines gathered in large numbers. In Manila, demonstrators criticized the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for failing to address inflation and low wages. Protesters carried effigies and signs denouncing economic inequality, calling for a living wage and job stability. In the United States, May Day rallies occurred in cities including New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Labor activists highlighted the growing momentum of unionization efforts in major corporations like Amazon and Starbucks. However, the protests were also politically charged, with some demonstrators voicing opposition to potential second term for former President Donald Trump and expressing concerns over the state and democracy and workers' rights under both major parties. This year's global rallies underscored a unifying message. Workers everywhere are feeling the strain of economic instability, political polarization, and the ongoing struggle for equitable treatment in a rapidly changing labor landscape. While the demand varied by country, the overarching themes of fairness, dignity, and justice in the workplace echoed across borders. So, the people are fed up, man. Okay, the people are protesting against the powers that be. Okay, for the life that they're having to live, man. Okay, because of their decisions that they have for them. You see, so that this is another this is more evidence, I should say, proving that Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is this red horse spoken of in Revelation 6:4, which reads, "And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword." So, that red horse, which again represents Esau Edom, he was to come and take peace from the earth. He wasn't to come, and make life easy, make life better. Okay, he wasn't come to, ultimately, give you a hand, and be your friend. Okay, but he's an enemy, and he's the devil. You see, that's why we always see, like every few weeks, now every few weeks, and every other year, there's more different animals that are going to go extinct, more trees that are dying. Okay, so many years, we wouldn't have this or that because the ungodly is in a position of power. Okay, scripture saying Habakkuk the 2nd chapter, referring to Esau Edom, that he is as death. Okay, so death is in a position of governing life, and that can't work. That can't work, man, and obviously it's not working because again the whole earth groaneth. Okay, you see the animals, the trees, the bees, the birds, all animals, the whole creation is groaning and crying out to the Lord. Okay, and so are we, man. You see, we're ultimately crying out to Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua because we want to get the hell up out of here, man. But see, that time of us being delivered, Lord willing, is close because we're seeing the downfall of America, man. Okay, which, as soon as America falls, Lord willing, we're the elect, man, we're going to rise. Okay, so, us seeing, the nations in turmoil, all these different protests around the world because of what's going on with these tariffs. Again, that's showing that Esau is that red horse. Okay, but nevertheless, let's go back. I want to grab this real quick before I miss the point I wanted to make. All right, this is the word peace in the Greek, as we're going to play it.
Strong's G 1515. Irene.
Lord willing, you can hear it. For some reason I can't hear it, but it says a state of national tranquility, exemption from the rage and havoc of war. Okay, and Esau, has been at war more than 98% of the time that he's been in office, and you can look that up. Okay, it says peace between individuals, an example, harmony, concord, security, safety, prosperity, felicity, because peace and harmony make and keep things safe and prosperous. You see that? So, Esau takes peace away, from even individuals, man. Okay, as long as, again, this devil's been in power, he's been at war. So again, he is that red horse. And again, these two articles that we're reading with all these different places around the world, in complete uproar and outrage, it just goes to show that we're living in the last days, man. Okay, and that red horse that was sent to take peace from the earth, he's about to be taken out the way. Okay, but scriptures say he now that letteth So the Lord is allowing this devil to ultimately, wreak havoc, okay, and take peace from the earth and cause these different things to happen, right? Ultimately make draconian laws and, do things to where, it puts a squeeze on the people. The Lord's allowing him to do it, man, right? To further fulfill his will, to bring us closer, into the end. You see? So that's all it is at the end of the doggone day. Okay, Yahweh Shema Shai is behind all of this, man. All right, so let's end it off here. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 5. It says, "For like as all that is made in the world hath the beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." Yeah, the end is manifest through the different signs. And specifically in this video, we went into 2 articles showing how heavy of times we're in, man. You got the whole world in an uproar, okay, because of this Edomite, okay. Which at the end of the doggone day, man, Donald Trump is just a puppet, for the higher up elites, man. He's just a puppet that they use to bring forth the things that they want to happen. And at the end of the day, Yahweh Shema Shai is in control of it all. But these elites, man, hey, they're making moves too, But nevertheless, it says, "For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest," right? The end is being made clear, okay, crystal clear. If your eyes, have been open to see. It says, "Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs." And we're seeing the signs. Okay, Yahweh Shai told the disciples, or not his disciples, but the wicked of the Pharisees and the scribes, I believe. Let's go to it real quick and end off here. I know I signed it off, but let's keep going, man. Matthew 16:1. "The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered them and said unto them, When it is evening, ye say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. All ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times?" And Yahweh Shai used it, compared the signs of the times into the changing of the weather. Okay, because when you go outside and you look up and you see the clouds, rolling in and are black, and you smell rain, that rain is coming. So it's obvious, it's apparent. Okay, it's right in your face, and these prophecies, are right in everybody's face. But see, a lot of our people have been blinded, so they can't see, what's happening. They see what's happening, but they can't piece it together, with the scriptures. Okay, but oh man, this is happening in the Bible, like, and even some people that do, they still don't take it serious because of nothing's really happening to them personally. They end up forgetting about it super quick, and oh, it is what it is. They don't understand that, hey, at the end of the day, everything is for an appointed time. Okay, but we're in that time, all right, in which is the end. So time is running out, man. Okay, so hey, to you sincere brothers, man, and to you sincere sisters, continue to pray, continue to believe, all right, and continue to push, man. All right, because we ain't got too much longer here. All right, that Babylon is on the ropes, and his place is on its way out the door. All right, so hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. To you sincere Akiyama Akwath who tuned in. As always, before I end off, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachach Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, our teachers. Shalom to you brothers pushing and teaching this truth. Until next time, Lord's will, I say shalom, stay strong, and keep the faith. Shalom.